Y'all, so I have more documentation of crazy gangstalking activity. And this is this is a relevant topic, y'all. This is literally one of the main reasons or catalysts for the targeting, y'all. This is the whole reason why everything seems to be centered around this man from the gym that I don't know from anywhere. It really ties back to this guy. Everything ties back to this guy and what happened over a decade ago. This cyberstalking guy that I talked about a few years ago. Then I got major backlash for doing it. They started gaslighting me. They started insinuating fake things, creating fake narratives. And so I stopped talking about it. I even did an apology video. It's just something I don't talk about. But it's like this, like literally the catalyst for a lot of the things that I'm dealing with. His family's in the military. A lot of these people have subjective feelings. They're friends with him. And that's why this thing with the man from the gym seems to have blown up the way that it did. Because this is like a direct derivative of the situation with the cyberstalking man. So anyway, y'all, similar to what I did with the receipt video, I'm about to show y'all some things. I scratched out names and faces, etc. But I want to just show you, I went into my email again today, and I went to screenshot some of the things, some of the like documentation that I took over the years, y'all. So anyways, these crazy people, very subjective and biased. So this is what started it off, y'all. So this morning I was watching an episode on one of these law shows that I like to watch. You know, I like to watch these Law and Order shows or like First 48 or, just these different crime shows, y'all. I told you I like to watch these, and they're always doing gang and stuff in the morning when I'm watching these shows to make me uncomfortable. Hold on, y'all. Let me turn off low power mode, or else the screen is going to keep turning off. So anyways, y'all, in the episode, they're doing this weird thing too, where like literally I could watch an episode of that same series with black people and there's no noise campaign in the background. Like they'll make noise campaign for certain things, like just to antagonize me, certain things that are being said in the video, but they're not really harassing me like that. And then as soon as I put on an episode with white people, they're doing a bunch of stuff in the background, like a bunch of noise campaigns and acting like they're flying planes by and all kinds of weird stuff, y'all, that they've been doing recently. It's almost like I can't even watch one of these episodes with white people in it. It's so weird. So anyway, there was this episode this morning where it was actually like an interracial couple. So it was this white woman and she had gotten with this Indian guy. He was brown skinned though, but he's not black. He's Indian. So anyway, the show or the series I was watching this morning was Who the Bleep Did I Marry? And so that's a series of, episodes of people who married someone and they didn't really know who the person was, and it turns out the person was like had like this double life or was like this monster or whatever, right? So people that get married to people and they don't even realize who they or what they married. So it's called Who the Bleep Did I Marry? So I just started watching that randomly this morning, y'all. I put on these different shows. Every morning it's something different. Or sometimes it's the same series that I'll get into, right? So I just recently started watching that again today. I was really watching something else and they kept doing noise campaigns in the background. I said, let me find something else to watch. Oh boy. So that was when I went into, I was just looking through like shows to watch and I saw Who the Bleep Did I Marry? And I was like, oh my God, I haven't watched this show in so long. And so I went into the seasons and I saw I had watched every season except the last season that was available on that app or platform, streaming platform. And it was season 8. So I went in there and the first episode was this lady, this white lady that was in an interracial relationship with this Indian man. So anyway, I'm watching the show, the episode, and it starts while I'm at work. But eventually, I got off shift and it was time for me to leave and the episode was still playing. So in the episode, she got with the guy and she was talking about the fact that he seemed like so charming at first. Look at them making noise in the background with their crazy shit because they know exactly what took place this morning. They're not stupid. They're subjective, biased, and they don't care. They're like blatantly, willfully just doing the wrong things that they're doing to me. So anyway, in the episode, she was out to lunch or dinner or wherever she was at, and she met him at like a restaurant or something, and she was saying he was charming and he was handsome and he seemed like a nice person and blah, blah, blah. And so she got to know him and she got like engulfed in the culture. She thought it was a beautiful culture, and she liked the fact that it was something different and whatever, right? So she's dating the dude and eventually, she ends up meeting his family. And apparently, like, the parents weren't together anymore. So anyway, the guy's dad was okay. He was very accepting of her and open and welcoming. But the mom was a different story. The mom had a problem with her being white. And when he brought her home to the house, apparently the mom kept giving him a hard time. And there was even an incident where the mom called her a white bitch. And in my head, I'm like, in this day and age, I know that in certain cultures that might happen. You might have a culture where they want you to marry someone within the culture. That happens all the time, and it's not necessarily a racist thing as much as it is a culture thing, or they want you to at least adjust to their culture, their belief system. Like, I think that's the case with Muslims too, if I'm not mistaken. Not that you can't marry interracially, but they want you to convert to Muslim or whatever the case is, right? So I know that does happen in this day and age still sometimes. But the whole, like, the way she was being, like, prejudiced and, like, that white bitch and stuff, that's kind of like Shadow Network to me. They keep inserting weird stuff. I never said anything about anyone being a white bitch. I think they wanted to insert the word bitch, though. I think it was, again, pushing the narrative of prejudice and then also wanting to insert the word bitch into the technology because there was insinuating that I'm a bitch. So anyways, here the plane diving down out the sky now. Crazy nutcases. They're nuts, you know. Anyway, so nonetheless, so I'm just watching the episode, y'all, and I'm not saying anything. So she's describing how she realized he wasn't who she thought he was because after she got married, they got past the what's the word I'm looking for? Not the hiccup. They got basically, I can't think, y'all. You know how it is when all this shit is happening and the stupid thing happens to me where I can't find my words. It's stress, cortisol, etc. They even sent me something with the technology about it, y'all. You know how that can happen when you're under, like, high stress, chronic high stress? How it's like your brain, it can actually, like, cause, like, confusion and, like you can't speak. It's this weird thing that happens. It's horrible. Anyway, so nonetheless, they got past what was going on with the mom and they eventually got married and they ended up going to stay with the dad instead. And the dad, like I said, was more welcoming to her and to him and their relationship. So anyway, when they're married now, the dad ends up passing away. And so the dude goes through like this bout of depression and she's trying to help him through it. And it was a dark time. Anyway, so he got back up on his feet and he was very ambitious and apparently he was in medical school. He wanted to become a podiatrist. So she was a police officer at the time. And he felt like that wasn't good enough. Like he felt like her being in a blue collar career was embarrassing to him, is what he said. When that's being said, by the way, this was before I left the job. I heard like noise campaigns outside. And then they go in to describe what he wanted her to do. He wanted her to get into nursing so that they could go into practice together. Then I started hearing something outside the booth. So I even paused. I said, is somebody outside the booth? You know, the security booth. Because I was like, I've heard stuff before outside where I feel like somebody's out there. It's just weird. Anyway, those things were said before I left. Like, remember I said the episode continued after I left the job. But anyway, I'm still just trying to give you the backdrop story of her realizing that this man is a monster. So anyway, there's nothing wrong with being a police officer. It's a laudable career. It's something that's looked at as an admirable career because every day you're putting your life on the line. You get paid a lot of money to do it. You might not have gone to college, but you do have to go through academy and it's not easy. You have to be in shape. A lot of people can't pass the PT test. Like, there are different things that you have to do to become a police officer. So just like how you have to attain a degree to become a teacher or to become a nurse or a doctor, etc., you have to attain your spot as a police officer because you have to go through PT training and this, that, the third. It's not like you just pop up and you can get into the career. There are a lot of people that don't make it because they can't get past the physical element. Anyway, so you have different routes that you take in life. As long as you're doing something you're happy doing and you're making money. And police officers make a lot of money. Anyway, nonetheless, he was having some sort of like complex with her becoming a police officer because it's considered a blue collar career. So it's a career where you don't need a degree. So anyway, she thought that was kind of odd, the fact that he had a problem with that. So that was kind of like the red flag number one, was the fact that he had an issue with her being a police officer. Like, that's kind of unheard of. So anyway, he told her he wanted her to become a nurse and he wanted her to get a degree and go into practice with him. So she quit her police job, and because she was so in love with him, despite her feeling like it was kind of odd, his feelings, towards her career and stuff, she quit the police job, she joined nursing school, and she was trying to become a nurse so that she could go into practice with him when he became a doctor, a podiatrist. So anyway, while she's in nursing school, she realized that she's squeamish. So she's not able to handle blood. Like, the blood was upsetting her. She's literally like the classic definition of being squeamish. So anyway, when she was trying to handle the blood in a vial or something like that, it just was like too much for her. And so the teacher even told her, look, are you sure this is the right career for you? Because this is something you're going to encounter all the time. So anyway, she started reevaluating her decision and realized it just wasn't for her. So she dropped out and she went and told the dude. He got pissed. He started apparently... Y'all, there's this whole conversation. Both of my parents are magically on the porch now, all day long, now that I have to make this video about this guy and what took place. It started this morning. I was sleeping for hours. My dad went outside. He was on this long, loud phone call. I went to sleep. I was asleep for hours. I woke up. All of a sudden, my dad's on this deposition call. You know, some lawyer, something case apparently that I didn't know anything about that's going on with my grandpa and passing away and when he stayed in the hospital. Now the conversation's done. They're still on the porch talking loud. They keep getting on me for talking. I keep hearing this clicking sound, this loud slapping or clicking sound. Like, they're literally trying to stop me from making this video. And this is what always happens, y'all. With these things where I can prove and show evidence of what I've been through for the years and, you know, a situation that's completely unfair. They'll go on the porch and do noise campaigns or do, like, interfere with the video. It's crazy to me. I don't understand it. So anyways, y'all, nonetheless, I cannot make sense of this shit, y'all. I think it's witchcraft. I really do. Anyway, like I was saying, y'all, back to the episode. So this is where she starts really seeing his true colors now, because when she told him she dropped out of the nursing school and, like, she, you know, it just wasn't for her, he started calling her white trash and all kinds of horrible stuff and just, like, cussing her out and calling her stupid and this and that and the third. And so she realized, wait a minute, I don't think I want to be with this guy. You know, she started realizing he wasn't, you know. So she called the police and he left when she called the police on him because he started yelling and getting really abusive. Anyway, so when he left, she hung up the phone with the police. The police came and he wasn't there. They left. And when he came back, she said she was just happy he came home because even though they had that big fight, she still loved him and she was just happy he was back. But all then, those were big, major red flags for her. So anyway, nonetheless, they still continue the relationship despite, you know, whatever. And then eventually I think what they said was, at this point I was driving on the road, y'all, and there was a lot of noise campaigns in the background as they were saying certain things about this case, right? So I was having trouble focusing 100%. But from what I gathered with this little girl, a family member of hers, I think her sister, if I'm not mistaken, something happened with this relative where she ended up taking in the young daughter, you know, a toddler. The girl was a baby, a toddler. So she ended up adopting her as her own. And so while she's taking care of this little girl, she realized that it seemed to be too much of a responsibility for this dude she was with. The same guy that she's realizing is abusive and, you know, whatever. So she said the last straw for her that made her leave him was she went upstairs and she heard like this weird sound. Like, you know, she was hearing some odd sound. And when she went up there, he was shaking the baby. Like, he had the baby in his hands and he was, like, shaking her like a rag doll. And so she said that's when she realized he was actually, like, abusive, too. Like, aside from just being verbally abusive, he was physically abusing this little baby. So, anyway, that was when she broke up with him and, you know, ended up moving out and, you know, deciding he wasn't for her. Like, this wasn't it. So she said he ended up moving to another state or something like that. And he ended up realizing that medical school wasn't for him anyways. So he was going on with her about this, you know, this, that, and the third, white trash, this and that, because she didn't want to do the nursing thing. But then he ended up dropping out of medical school anyway. So then she said this weird thing happened where he wrote her. Like, he wrote her and said, hey, I moved into a neighborhood nearby. And she, like, he was trying to talk to her again, basically, and she wasn't interested. And she even went on this dating website and met this guy that was a good match for her. While this is happening, this is what set the thing in motion, you know, I think, right? While this was happening, and this was before I left the job, actually, y'all, this part here was still before I left the job. I was sitting there just writing down the people that were coming through the gate. So she was talking about going online and how she was able to meet somebody and they had an instant connection and she could tell he was a good person and blah, blah, blah. So while she's saying that, they start revving by in the background and doing noises in the back. And so I simply said, well, when I actually did try out the dating website, because y'all know I had a stint where I tried out dating websites, like 3 different websites. I tried Bumble, I tried POF, and I tried Tinder. And what happened is in 2018, when I was in school, for the second time getting my bachelor's degree, my younger sister came to me. She was on campus with me, and she showed me Tinder, and she showed me that she had an account, and she was showing me that her friends had shown her Tinder. And so when she showed me Tinder, that was when I created an account, and I just tested out the water with it because the guys on campus were not it. They were runaround type dudes. They were younger. I was 26, right? And so when I went back to school, I had taken a hiatus from school for a few years. I explained this in my prior videos, y'all. So when I paid my way back into school, I was an older college student, and then I was staying in the dorms. So I was 26 and staying in the dorms. And that's why eventually I ended up staying in Airbnbs, y'all. But anyway, in the beginning part, I was in the dorms at 26. And my sister is 4 years and change younger than me. So she was like around 22. So that was more appropriate for her to be in the dorms. Even though that's typically... And y'all, hold on. Anyway, y'all, so that's typically the age... when you graduate, 22, but most people don't graduate on time. Some do, quite a few do, but there are a lot of people that don't graduate on time. So being 22 in the dorm was completely normal, and being my age in the dorms was normal. There were quite a few people on campus that were my age and older, but again, it's just the staying in the dorms is what it was. It's not really necessarily going to school or being on campus at that age. It was the staying in the dorms at that age. I think there was only like a couple other people on campus that were my age staying in the dorms. So anyways, y'all, so the guys were not it, man. I had talked to a few guys on campus, and, they were about one thing. They were all sleeping around. There was this producer I talked to. He was dealing with, like, some of the local rappers down there, and I dated him, and he seemed like a cool catch. I thought it was pretty cool that he knew some of the local rappers, like Iceberg, etc., so that was a big deal. But the dude kept, like, after we hung out a few times, during the daytime, like, we went out to eat and stuff, I noticed he kept trying to pick me up at, like, 3 a.m., 2 a.m. I used to keep saying, nah, it's kind of late, like, I thought it was weird. And then my sister saw who I was talking to, and she said, no. She said, don't talk to that guy. She said, he's doing this and that with my friend. And so apparently he was messing with her friend, and she was telling me some freaky stuff about him, and he was, like, handcuffing the friend and all kinds of weird stuff. So long story short, I stopped talking to him. But that's what these guys were on that campus. Like, they were trying to, mess around, and they were messing with multiple females. So the options weren't, that's not what I was looking for. So that's why I was open to the dating website when my sister showed me it. She said, this is like a new thing. She said, like, look at the options on here. And she was showing me, like, some professional guys that were doing stuff for themselves. And so I went on there and I decided to try it out myself. So I created a Tinder. I stayed on there for a little short stint, not long, maybe like 2 weeks. And then around that time, coincidentally enough, my cousin that hangs out with us, that was like a sister to us back in the day, more so to my older sister and I, because she's closer in age to us than she is to my younger sister. She used to hang out with us all the time. She still comes down here every now and then and hangs out with my younger sister and I. My older sister's away in the States. She's married. So anyway, this cousin came into town, and she was there all the time anyway. We have family there in Florida. So she came into town and she hung out with me. I picked her up in my car and we went out to eat, and I think it was like a pizza place or wherever we went. And she started showing me this guy she was talking to on this dating website called Plenty of Fish. So this was around the time when I was experimenting with the dating websites anyway. I had already tried Tinder out, and I didn't actually meet up with anyone. I was kind of nervous about Tinder. And then she shows me POF, and I look at the pictures and I see, like she met somebody that seemed legit, that seemed like a good person. So I said, well, let me give this thing a try one more time. And so I remember I tried out POF, and that was where I met this guy named Kadan. And so I started talking to Kadan. He seemed like the perfect catch. He was like your classic honeypot. He had a nice smile. He was handsome. He was athletic. He was into holistic health and natural health like me. He was educated. He was apparently in FIU law school. At least that's what he told me and what he had on his account, his POF account. So from what he told me, he had already graduated with his degree. And now he was like in law school is what he claimed. He was in FIU law school is what he claimed. So all of this was amazing to me because I was considering law school myself. While I was in school, I was considering law school. I was about to get my bachelor's degree in English. My mom and I had already gone over to St. Thomas University, which was 2 streets away from my school, Florida Memorial University. And we went into the law school because I was telling her I was interested in law school, and I had a good GPA. My GPA was a 3.5 something or the other. So I was looking at different law schools, and I was considering that, and then I was also considering teaching. Because at the time I was a substitute teacher. I had seen my mom teaching my whole life. I had been in and out of the school system as a substitute for many years. And actually, prior to moving up there, I was working for the school system down here as a paraeducator / paraprofessional, where I worked one-on-one with special education students that had IEPs. So anyway, so those were the two like career paths. It was either like law school or becoming a teacher. And those are the two things that I was looking at. So seeing that he was in law school and stuff, and this dude knew this about me, by the way, the cyberstalking guy, he knew that. He knew that I was either going to become a teacher or a lawyer. I told him everything. He knew this about me. And he knew that I had even taken some paralegal courses in my early 20s. So anyway, so I was like, oh my God, this guy is perfect. Like, too good to be true. He seemed perfect. He was into the same things I was into. He was athletic. He didn't have any kids. He was around my age and in school still. But again, he was more advanced than me. He already, according to him, again, I don't know if any of this was real, had a bachelor's degree and he was in FIU law school. At least that's what he had on his profile. So anyway, I'm talking to the dude and I'm getting to know him. And I talked about this already, y'all, a million different times and a million different videos. I'm talking to him and I'm getting to know him. And he asked me to send him more pictures than what I had on the dating website. So I remember I went to Facebook and I just scrolled through my pictures. I went to send him old pictures. Like, because he said he was athletic and into sports and stuff, I wanted to send him a picture of me in this white tracksuit from back in the day in my early 20s when I still had Instagram and when I used to talk to that dude, the cyber stalking dude. So I took a screenshot of that picture, which was an old picture. I took a screenshot of a newer picture that I had taken on Snapchat with my mom. And then I sent him like a couple videos from Snapchat. So anyways, I remember as soon as I sent the dude the picture, you know, him and I are talking, and I kept feeling like I was hearing laughing or something in the background on the phone. And in my head, I'm like, there's no way. I'm like, I met this guy on a dating website in Florida. And I didn't know anything about this technology that they're using on me now. So this is where I'm now putting two and two together. Not just now in this moment, but recently, like this whole year, I've been putting it together. That all back then, when I wasn't a target, you hear them chirping the bird? When I wasn't a target in 2018, they were using the targeted individual shadow network technology on me. This is how they were hacking my dating websites, and I didn't understand. Like, I couldn't conceive the idea of this technology, the idea that they could somehow hack my phone and like interfere with dating websites, and every account that I'm clicking on is shadow network, and I didn't understand it back then. I kept seeing grade on the accounts and weird stuff after the Kadan guy, and that was where I deleted every account. They even recently sent me something about Bumble via the technology, and I never told them I was on Bumble. I tried 3 different dating websites around that time period. Tinder, when my sister came to me with it. POF, when my cousin came in town and showed me the guy she was talking to from POF. And then I tried Bumble. Those 3, and when I kept seeing weird activity, especially after the Kadan thing, I deleted every account and I never went back on the dating website. And I said, nope. I said, either I'm batshit crazy and I truly am schizophrenic, or these people have some far-reaching power. I'm like, I don't know how they're doing this. Back then, my mind couldn't conceive because, again, I hadn't dealt with what I'm dealing with now, and I didn't know the things I know now. So back then, they were like so freaking they were so obsessed with this idea of revenge that they hacked my dating website while I was in Florida in school. Right there in 2018. I understand now we're in 2026, y'all. But understand I started talking about this in 2023 or the end of 2022. So that had only been 4 years prior when I first started talking about this. When I got back on the island from trying to relocate off island and I was telling my story and I was talking about the dating websites, etc. That was the end of 2022. So that was just 4 years prior to when I initially started talking about it. Of course, they gaslit and all these crazy things happened, so I stopped talking about it, and now it's 4 years later. So it seems like, oh, these things happened so long. Yeah, when I first started talking about it, it was fresh. It was about 4 years prior when it took place. And also when I first started talking about it, just the year prior, 2021, right before I tried to relocate off island, the dude had tried to add me on Facebook. And he sent me a message that's still sitting in the message request box. I never answered the message. Somehow he knew like 3 months, I'm talking about the cyberstalking guy now, y'all. 3 months after I created a new Facebook, because I had came off Facebook for like 2 years. I was off Facebook due to the gangstalking activity. And I wasn't a target at the time, but I was dealing with, you could say, gangstalking activity. I was off Facebook for like 2 years. I created an account again in 2021 3 months after creating the account, I see a friend request from him, and then at 1:15 a.m., and the only reason I know the time specifically, y'all, is because I was in my inbox taking screenshots of some of these things that I have in my email, y'all. At 1:15 a.m., I see a message talking about Reefa, LOL. You can even see in 2018, around the time when the dating app thing was happening, you can see that he had followed me on Quora. I created a Quora account. He followed me on Quora, and the day he followed me, you can see I deleted the account. These are things that were really happening. Then you can see a message from Kadan, whenever whatever weird stuff that I'm about to finish talking about happened. You can see he emailed me because I blocked his cell phone number when the weird thing happened. He emailed me and he said, I don't care about what happened, what's going on, or whatever he said. He said, I just want to make sure you're okay. What happened? And I just sent a big LOL as a response. Why would I respond like that? Anyway, I'm about to show you those screenshots in a minute, y'all. Let me not be all over the place, right? I'm trying not to be all over the place. So when they were revving by about her meeting somebody authentic on the dating website, while this dude is like in the process of gearing up to stalk her, they start revving like crazy in the road, and I'm still at the job at this point. So I just, I wasn't saying anything. I wasn't making comparisons to the situation. They're in the background doing this. So then I just said, I don't know what y'all are revving for. I said I couldn't really use the dating websites authentically. Remember, it was hacked. That's all I said. In response to them revving in the background when they were saying she met somebody genuine on the dating website and whatever they were describing about her encounter with this dude that she met on the dating website, I just responded to the ref campaign. I said, well, it's not like I was able to meet anyone. I said my dating websites were hacked. That's all I said. So then I sat there and I finished watching the episode, and then eventually, like I said, the shift ended and I left and the episode continued. So anyway, she's in this new relationship with this guy now that she met on the dating website because her shit wasn't hacked, and the stalking didn't include or encompass a large individual, a large group of people that had access to resources. She only had this one man following her and stalking her. It wasn't the man and people with resources behind him. Like, that's a whole different, like, my thing is a whole different category anyway. It's not even comparable, really. Anyway, so nonetheless, so he actually moved into, like, some sort of neighborhood that was nearby her, and he's texting her and trying to talk to her, and she's saying, look, I moved on. Like, I'm not interested. And so he eventually got a job as a pizza delivery driver. Mind you, he was calling her white trash when they were in the relationship because she didn't want to do nursing school, which she realized it wasn't for her. But he drops out of medical school. He moves nearby her. He starts stalking her. And he gets a job as a pizza delivery guy just so he can stalk her and, like, be throughout the apartments at leisure without it looking crazy or suspicious. But, of course, it still looked crazy and suspicious. So anyway, she was saying that, though. She was like, she thought it was crazy that he was calling her white trash for not finishing nursing school. But he's getting a job as a pizza delivery guy so he can be all in the apartment stalking her. So anyway, the episode is still playing, and, she's talking about how crazy he was and he was stalking her. I'm not making any comparisons. I am driving. I'm not making faces. I'm not going, I'm not making sounds. I'm not saying, this reminds me of something. I'm not doing anything. I'm just driving and taking care of errands. This morning I had to run to the store and I needed to get Clorox wipes, and I went to get some 7-Up cake that I tasted the other day in the grocery store that tastes really good that they make in there. And I was supposed to get wipes too. I realized I forgot to get it. But nonetheless, the point is I was running errands this morning. There are oftentimes that happens when I get off work, where I'll run to the store or I'll make an extra stop before I go home. I'm listening to things on my phone like everyone else, but of course I'm being tortured and stared at and this weird thing that's happening, right? So anyhow, while she's describing how crazy the man is and how he's stalking her and he's in the pizza car following her and all in the apartments, all in the backyard watching her, and he even called the police on her one day when she was letting her daughter, it's her adopted daughter, play outside. He's watching and he calling the police on her and trying to, like, get the child taken away, just trying to make her life a living hell. Yeah, I don't know if you can hear the big loud noise campaign that's happening in the neighborhood now that I'm making this video, y'all. These people are willfully subjective. This is willful subjectivity and bias. It doesn't get much more, it doesn't get more biased and subjective than this. This is willful subjectivity, y'all. They're actually doing noise campaigns and acknowledging the things I'm saying, because I was saying some things off camera, y'all. And then there's loud noise campaigns in the neighborhood. It turned down now. As soon as I started recording to try to record the big loud noise campaign they're doing now, they turned it down. Anyway, let me continue with the video, y'all. Sorry for the video cutting off again. My mom keeps interrupting my video. This always happens every time I'm making a video. But she is out getting food, right? And I gave her money to get me food. But it's just this, like, it's kind of like, it feels, I'm not gonna lie, it feels kind of like gangstalking. Because she keeps, like, texting me about, like, these insignificant, trivial things. We've already discussed what's going on. And then she still keeps sending these text messages. Anyway, y'all, I don't remember where the video went. Oh, I think I was in the Dropbox looking for the picture that I texted to the Kadan guy, and then while I was in there, I found that picture of me from back in the day that he had from Instagram when we met each other. And when he got in the relationship with the lady that he's with now, he sent me a message, added me on Facebook, and then he proceeds to drop this photobomb. Not photobomb. A photobomb is when someone comes in the background of your picture. But then he proceeds to drop this picture, and he puts in a relationship with so-and-so. And he puts on the bed, he's on the bed posting with her. In the picture, she's posting like how I was posing in that picture that y'all just saw. And she has her eyebrow up and he has his eyebrow up. I kid you not, y'all. And then they have the nerve to be making noise campaigns here. This is the picture I was showing y'all. Right? So it was a picture like this side. This is how she was posed on the bed. Similar to this, she had her hair like this. Her eyebrow was up. And his eyebrow was up. And he had in a relationship with so-and-so. That's the only reason I know how the girl looks, you know. So anyway, they're making all kind of noise campaign when I'm talking about this. And that was why the video got interrupted. My mom was calling me to tell me something about the fast food, right? So I said, but are y'all crazy? I don't care if the man's in a relationship. This is not what it's about. It's about the fact that he got in the relationship, first of all, and then did that. Where he felt the need to add me or rate me just so I could see that he's in a relationship. And then makes her pose in the bed the same way that I am in this picture here. A picture he had from years ago. But then it was what happened after. It was the being set up by men. And men being sent to have sex with me. Apparently there were bets going. Hacking my dating website while I'm in Florida in school in 2018. Which was years after he got with the girl. Because I think he got with her, like, you know, years prior. Like, I think in 2016 or something around that time. 17, whenever. This was after he was with her when the thing with Kadan happened. And that same year where the thing with Kadan happened, where they were hacking my dating websites, I created a Quora account. I see so-and-so followed you on Quora. Y'all, do you know I have the evidence, thank the Mossad, showing that same day I deleted my Quora account? That same day I deleted it. Then there was the message from 2021. At this point now, I was a full-on target. It wasn't like targeted individual activity, like what was going on with him and these people that had, you know, shadow network resources, etc. 2021, I was an actual target now. Remember, the targeting started in 2020. And I was living in the neighborhood where his family lives. And his family was getting involved in the gangstalking. Anyway, so 2021, right before I tried to relocate off island, 3 months after I created my new Facebook account, I had been off Facebook for about 2 years, y'all, due to gangstalking. Again, I wasn't a target at the time, but I'm calling it gangstalking activity because it's the same. I'm realizing now. I created the Facebook 3 months after I've created the Facebook in 2021. The man sent a friend request, and this was before I ever made videos about him. This was before I tried to relocate off island. He sent a friend request, and then at 1:15 a.m. I saw Rifa. Lol. So he didn't just send a friend request. He also sent me a message at 1:15 a.m. in the morning. So the message sat there in the message request box. It's still there. And I did not add him. But they're making it seem like for years what they've been doing in these last 4 years, y'all, when I talked about the situation, making it seem like I was having this big issue and I'm jealous, and I just randomly decided to attack him because he's married now with children. I don't even know if the man's married. I just keep saying that because that's what they're sending with the technology. I'm going to assume he's married. He has children or a child with the person. They've been together for, at this point now, years. I'm going to assume the man is married. Married, relationship, children, whatever's going on in his personal life. I don't care. I wasn't the one doing stuff. I wasn't the one trying to sabotage and paying people to have sex with him. I wasn't doing that. So anyway, just because he has whatever going on in his personal life, and they have an issue with me because of offensive things I shared during the targeting, it was the villainize me. I was the villain ex-girlfriend or ex-thing, whatever bitch, that's jealous and I'm just trying to do stuff, and all this crazy weird stuff they tried to create from the thing. When they knew full well what they had been doing for years. And they're still doing stuff. Because like I said this morning when I'm listening to that episode, they're getting enraged. I think these are people that's probably associated with him. It has to be. Subjective people. I'm sitting in the video, in the vehicle just listening to the episode. I'm not even making the comparison myself. It's not like I'm saying, this is reminding me of that dude, oh boy, or this is reminding me of that. I didn't do anything like that. I'm just sitting there driving, listening to the episode. They're getting enraged at certain parts. They're revving by super hard. I'm like, okay. By the time I got to the grocery store, y'all, I was like, I know why these people are pissed. I said, obviously, I don't even have to say it. This was reminding them of what I went through, and it's enraging them. Guilt. I said, because what the fuck are they revving by for and getting angry? I'm not even saying anything. Then there was a part in the video where it said something about he pulled out a gun to do it. Eventually, he got so damn crazy. He ended up pulling out a gun and shooting and killing her dude, the dude she was with, and almost killing her. So when it said that he was shooting the gun, another one of these angry ass people that says, I get thing connected to him, revving by super hard. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I'm dealing with some demonic energy here. I'm not even the one that was doing stuff. I'm not sitting here saying anything. I'm just innocently listening to the episode. And they're getting so worked up and fire under the ass of backside about the episode and revving by and getting angry. I'm like, okay. And so that was when I made the comment when I pulled up. Y'all, someone's home and about to come in the gate. That was when I made the comment when I pulled up to the grocery store. And I said, man, I know why they're acting like this, you know. I said they're getting worked up because they know. They know that this situation is kind of comparable to what I went through. It's different, of course. But it's relative. Y'all, hold on. Anyways, y'all. So I kind of went off on a tangent. It's like I'm all over the place, right? But, so long story short, just know I'm listening to this episode where they're talking about this crazy man. And he's stalking this lady, and it's different anyway because the two of them were actually in a relationship. They were married. You know, I was never with this man. Let me remind you. I feel like I have to keep reiterating how crazy this is. It's like, that's why I said it's almost comparable to what happened with this man from the gym, but not as bad because at least we had some sort of relation, right? There was some sort of camaraderie and getting to know the person, etc. It's not like the man from the gym who I really don't even know from a can of paint and they're doing all this crazy shit to me. But this man and I were never together. Let me remind you, what it was we had a friendship for about 3 years while I was in Florida. So we were communicating via the internet. We were communicating via FaceTime, text message, social media, email, etc. But we were not together. I have to keep reminding them. So that too already is a major flaw in the comparison of what was going on with this female and this man versus what was happening with me and this guy. That's why I thought it was so crazy. You would think I was with the man and married to him and I had done him dirty and I had done him so bad that they felt like they wanted to tear me down for years and years. It wasn't that serious for them to do what they did. I just think it's absolute insanity, and it's reminding me of what's happening with this man from the gym. Anyways, y'all, so I just had to throw that in there too, the craziness with them, right? So anyway, y'all, so the episode is going on and they're talking about how the man, like, eventually it escalated to the point where he got a gun. He showed up to her apartment and he pulls the gun out and proceeds to shoot. Like, you know, this is what I was telling y'all. And I went off on a tangent because I had started talking about the dating. I'm going to get back to that thing with the dating website, y'all. Because I do recognize that earlier in the clips, I was talking about what happened with the Kadan guy, which I've talked about a million different times already. But I'm all over the place. There's noise campaigns going on in the background. I'm hopping back and forth between telling you what happened this morning with the episode that led to me making this video in the first place. And in the episode, I was talking about that point where she was on the dating website and she met the guy she was going to marry. And that's what led to the tangent where I started going into detail. Hold on a second, y'all. Anyways, y'all. So that's what kind of led to me being all over the place. It was that I was talking about what happened with the episode. And then I was going to segue into what they did, how they started revving by and getting angry when I wasn't doing anything but just listening to the episode because the cap fit a little bit. And then I came home and decided to make this video. But while I'm telling you about what was going on in the episode, I was talking about when she met this dude online that ended up being her fiance before they killed him. And so that's what led to me going into detail about this Kadan guy, which is something I'm about to talk about here and now and show you screenshots and stuff I've talked about already, y'all, years ago, recently. Like, I've talked about these things before. Anyway, so that was what led to the tangent, though, was this Kadan thing, because I started talking about when I was on the dating website and how I wasn't able to date anybody authentically thanks to what they were doing. Now they have exactly what they've wanted for years. They have full reign and control over my life. I really can't date anybody now. You hear them right with the rooster, and they're loving it. Anyways, y'all. So let me show you guys. Let me finish talking about this episode so I can get to showing you the evidence and what's led to me making a video. So anyway, so eventually, like, the dude got so crazy that he pulled up on her and he pulled a gun out and he like proceeds to shoot at her and her fiance. She called the police. She was saying she was gonna make a citizen's arrest. She pulled her gun out. She had already gotten a firearm for protection. So she was going to do a citizen's arrest, and the police officer on the phone was telling her, well, ma'am, you can't really do a citizen's arrest, da-da-da-da. And while this is happening, the conversation is happening, the man pulls out a gun and starts shooting, yes? He shot her fiance, killed him, and then shot her and tried to kill her. But, God saved her, truly an angel cop stepping in. The gun jammed, and so he shot her, but he wasn't able to do the kill shot because he was about to shoot her in her head. And the gun jammed or something happened, the bullets ran out, whatever it was that happened that spared her life, where he wasn't able to kill her too, like her fiance. So anyways, so all them, y'all, they're just going crazy in the background, right? Like, there was one person that revved by super hard. I'm like, these people are nuts. So when I got to the store, I started making my own comments in my head. I said, I know why some of them are on the road angry. I said, I'm sure these are people associated with him, subjective, and they know full well what's going on. They're just subjective and biased. I said, obviously, the episode is inflaming them because the cap is fitting somewhat. It's reminding them of what really happened to me. Because I'm not sitting here making comparisons. I'm just listening. It's an episode. I'm watching Who the Bleep Did I Marry? I can't watch TV. I can't control what's in these episodes. And it's reminding me of something that I talked about in a video recently that happened right here in this room, y'all. This happened like a week ago, actually, or maybe 2 weeks ago at this point. Time is flying, y'all. It's just like flying, whirling. It's like a whirlwind. Time is just flying by. Just yesterday I was 29. I'm already about to make 35 at the end of the year. And they're still holding me up and have me captive here and sabotaging and whatever they're doing, right? But anyway, so about a week and a half ago, I was sitting on the bed getting ready for the gym. And again, I'm listening to one of these shows. I listen to these type of shows. So it was a different series, though. It wasn't Who the Bleep Did I Marry? I don't even remember what series it was, right? So in the thing, they're talking about, I think it was World's Most Dangerous Prisoners. And they're talking about this guy that's like this really maniacal, like scary, like individual. He was in Alcatraz. That's like one of the most dangerous prisons in the world, right? And that's where they were holding this man. Like, that's how dangerous he is. I think they said he sawed off his cellmate's head with some sort of tool that it would be very difficult to do that with. Like, he's like really psychotic. So anyway, I'm watching the episode and I'm combing my hair in the mirror. And they were talking about his earlier life before he got thrown into Alcatraz and started doing real crazy shit. And they were saying he was abused when he was younger, like he was hung from a tree, all kinds of crazy stuff was happening to the man, why he's nuts or psychotic. That's why I believe like rehabilitation could play a major role in the prison system, because I think a lot of people that end up in jail, not all of them, I'm not gonna make excuses for everyone, some people just made poor choices, but a lot of people that you see getting in trouble or in prison and stuff is because they had like childhood trauma or whatever it is. And like if they just had somebody to listen to them and like really try to help rehabilitate, then you wouldn't have the high amount of recidivism that happens. And that's why you have recidivism, because these people are going back into the population with the same mental health issues that led to the poor decisions. Some of them can't get a job now because they have a record. It's just like a flawed system, man. I think they could do better with it, but I'm not trying to get into problems. So nonetheless, the dude had mental health issues because of childhood trauma, and he was doing all kinds of crazy, maniacal, psychotic stuff. And they were talking about before he got in prison when he met his wife and his baby mama. And they were saying how when he was at some party, he saw her. And mind you, I'm not saying anything, y'all. I'm sitting there about to get ready for the gym. So I can't help what's being said in the episode. So while I'm sitting there and they're talking about this encounter with his baby mama, I'm going through my bag of hair stuff and I have shampoo in there and the shampoo spilled all over the bag. So I'm like, oh boy. I'm halfway listening to the show, y'all. So I remember pulling the shampoo and the conditioner out and just kind of resting it on the bed, and I started to gingerly place items down in a way where the shampoo wouldn't get on my sheet. And so while I'm doing this and I'm about to get up and wash my hands and switch the bag out, they're talking about this man and how he met his wife and how from there he was showing signs of abuse and possessiveness. So anyway, they start describing how at the party, he didn't even know who she was. He just saw her and liked her. And because some dude was trying to dance with her, he got mad and beat the dude up. So while this is being said, coincidentally, I'm sitting there doing my hair and getting ready for the gym. And I saw that in my hair bag, like I said, the shampoo had spilled. So I went to switch the bag out. So I went and I took the bag and I threw it in the garbage. I washed my hands. They saw all of this, y'all. The shampoo was laying on the bed. And then I went to change the bag. So I grabbed the bag and I'm changing it. While I'm changing the bag, I hear them slamming, the same crazy neighbor next door, getting angry and slamming stuff down next door. So I'm like, what are you slamming stuff down for? I said, I know y'all are not making references about the man from the gym. I hear the rooster, the same rooster and noise campaign outside of them diving birds. I said, do you see that there is shampoo all over my bed? And that I just took the shampoo out of the bag because shampoo spilled everywhere? I said, I'm not making every little thing in my life about this man. But obviously you're seeing some sort of relativity because I didn't say that. And that's similar to what happened this morning. I'm like, what the I'm like, okay, I'm not saying anything. I'm just listening to the episode. They're getting enraged and worked up because it's reminding them of the situation. I'm not even saying anything. So you're telling me that you kind of see whatever, but you're subjective and biased and you're getting angry. I never even said that man from the gym was jealous, What I said was I think it's an ego thing because he got this major amount of clout from whatever it was that was going on in the situation where he felt like he had this power card or this power play because of whatever it was that I said as a tactic. So he got a lot of clout from that. So I think then when this thing happened where it seemed like I like the Italian guy and his name is popping in my head and now it's this thing where they're trying to utilize him. I remember him even coming in a throwback jersey and his hair was slicked back and all of a sudden when he's walking by me, he's touching my back like this and I could tell they thought I liked him. I think that's what caused whatever with the next one. I thought it was an ego thing. I never said jealousy. I never said he liked me. I never said possessiveness. I never said anything like that. I don't even know that man. I don't even know him like that. I think it was more so like an ego thing because he had this big major role in the targeting. And now just like that in a drop of a dime, it seems like I like someone else. When I didn't like either of them, by the way. Let's get that clear. I didn't like either of them, by the way. So anyways, that's what I thought it was. And I didn't even say that, though. I didn't even say that. All I did was just talk about what happened, I actually didn't say what I felt about the situation. They just made their own analysis from what took place. So anyways, man, just craziness, man. So I'm just like, okay, so that's telling me that you're seeing some sort of relativity here and that's why you're getting mad. And that's what was going on this morning. They're getting angry, they're revving by. I'm like, okay, so you see some relativity here because I'm not saying anything. I'm just sitting here driving. So anyways, y'all. So after I made that comment, I notice I go inside to the store and I get to the register and I'm trying to transfer money from my savings account to my checkings account because it's hard to use the savings card in there. I used it, but the lady was even irritated that she had to take the card and manually put it in. That's why I like to transfer the money to the checkings. Look at what they started doing with my account, y'all. Hold on. Where is it? Because I took a screenshot of it. They kept doing this, like it wouldn't load. It wouldn't load up. I couldn't sign into my bank account. So it's almost like, again, low-key subliminally, threatening my funds for something that's out of my control. I'm like, really? This is what I am dealing with, y'all. It's so reminiscent of what's going on with this man from the gym. Y'all even heard what happened last night with his friend, the one that works at the facility during the night shift, what he did when I was freestyling to a song. That's in the earlier clips that, I've merged in with these ones. It's some strange, weird thing, y'all. It's crazy to me. It's all mad. It's lunacy. Anyway, y'all. So after all that happened and I came home, I was like, I'm gonna make a video about this because this is craziness. Then something else happened when I got home. They sent me something with the technology and I was like, nah, I need to make a video about this. I was like, these people are crazy. So that's when I started going into the emails and I started looking at these emails that I had saved, like screenshots. I had started like this thread called, sorry if it's offensive, but I don't care because I thought it was crazy what I was going through. I started this thread that I called Crazo, where anything that, you know, pertaining to him, I was calling it Crazo. I had this thread called Crazo. And so I started to take screenshots from the thread, y'all, to show you like some of the things that I thought was crazy, and the fact that they're still subjectively like angry about the situation, even though these people that are running the program have even admitted on camera that they were hacking my dating website and that there were bets going. You still have subjective people in the background that are angry over the situation. Even when I'm not saying anything about it, I'm just listening to an episode and they're getting angry in the background and revving because the cap fit or the shoe fit. I'm like, okay, I could see if I was sitting here saying, oh man, this is just like that man. I wasn't doing anything. I was just driving. Then recently them throwing his cousin, you know, that's in the prior clips too. That's in the video I just uploaded. Throwing his cousin in the store with the girlfriend or wife, whatever she is. And she's wearing a green dress. And in my head, I'm like, but there was no malicious intent with that situation that occurred, though. I didn't even know that was his cousin. You can see from the context of these messages, y'all, and even with the Cora thing, that I wanted nothing to do with this dude. With the things that was happening to me. You think I'm going to turn around and try to talk to his cousin? Really? It doesn't even make sense. So I had to go to the cousins page, y'all saw the prior clips, and prove that he's cousins with the dude from high school, too. So it was just some weird cosmic thing. I had no idea the man was cousins with this guy. That's the only thing they have. Something from over a decade ago. One thing that was done with no malicious intent. And ignorantly at that. Because I didn't know he was related to that dude. But I have all this evidence of things they've been doing for years. And years. They're sending men to have sex with me. They're hacking dating websites while I'm in Florida. Right there in 2018. Off and on, he's doing whatever he's doing. There's no comparison. It's not even comparable. That one thing that was done out of ignorance and without malicious intent versus what they've been doing for years. There's no comparison. So anyway, that's what when I saw the dude, I just rolled my eyes. I sucked my teeth so loud, you know. Anyway, so let me show y'all now the evidence, right? I have already shown these things. I scratched his name out. I scratched his face out and all of these. Whoa, hold on. There's one thing I'm realizing I didn't scratch his name out in. But then how can I show this, you know? How can I use this as evidence without showing you the name? What I'll do is I'll keep his last name. I'm going to keep his last name and I'm going to... No. The last name is such a basic last name. I'm going to scratch out his last name and keep the first name. So you can see, right? So I'll come back. Let me just... There's something I have to fix real quick. All right, y'all. So I'm back to finish now. Here's the evidence that I was talking about. I already had this in the receipt video, y'all. It's just crazy I have to do this again. So first of all, I'm pretty sure I showed you all this already. What happened when I went in the store after I finally thought a response to what they were doing in reference to the episode that was playing because it was triggering them. I guess the cap fit or whatever. That's when I thought that okay, obviously y'all are seeing some relativity here in this and whatever took place with me. That's why you're getting angry and guilty and revving by. So anyway, I go in the store and then I couldn't even transfer money from my savings account to my checkings account to pay for my groceries because they were freezing my money app, right? So anyway, it's just ridiculous, right? Anyway, so here's what I did. When I came home, they were sending references to the technology too with the craziness. I said, you know what, screw this. So I went into the inbox and and I was also triggered too from what they did the other night with his cousin. So I'm like, screw this, like the nerve. I'm like, okay, that one thing from over a decade ago, I already proved that dude is also cousins with the guy from high school. I did not know he was cousins with that dude until after the fact. And when I found out, I wanted to rip every hair off of my head and face one by one. Anyway, so nonetheless, y'all, I already proved that y'all saw that video where I showed you I had to go through the dude. I had to go to the dude's page. I haven't been on this man's page in years. I don't know why they're pulling him out the woodworks. I had to go on the man's page and go through his pictures and go through his tagged photos just to show you he was tagged in that group that they all used to hang out in back in the day. The dude from high school and that dude. To prove that he's cousins with the dude. I know they've already confirmed it, man. They know these people. So they have that one thing that's really nothing. It's really not anything. Versus all of these things that I have that they did. And they actually even admitted that there were bets going. Hacking my dating website right there in 2018. While I was in Florida. It's not even something that took place here on island. And he was involved because he went on Facebook and he liked the picture that I sent to the Kadan dude. He loved two of the pictures. Okay, anyways, y'all. So just know that when that happened around that time was when I deleted the Facebook. And I hadn't been on Facebook for years. And then in 2021, when I was a target now, shortly before trying to relocate off island, I created a Facebook account. 3 months after creating the account, he adds me on Facebook and sends me a message at 1:15 a.m. talking about Rifa, LOL. The beef was never ending. It's kind of like what they're doing here now, where they've been torturing me for years over a text message. It was like never ending. I'm like, damn it, I've been off Facebook for years, from back in 2018 when y'all were hacking dating websites. Now I come back on in 2021. 3 months after I create the account, you're adding me on the freaking account and you're sending me a message talking about Rifa, LOL. At 1:15 a.m. Anyway, y'all, so this was in 2015 when we met in person, right? And before I show you this, they kept trying to throw these subs at me about how I look, right? And insinuating that I catfished a man. I was FaceTiming this man multiple times in the day, every freaking day for years. It was like 3 years that we talked, right? We were FaceTiming. The first thing Neve does on the catfish episodes, did you ever FaceTime the person? No, they're always making excuses why the FaceTime doesn't work. They never FaceTime. If you watch the show Catfish. Me and this man were on FaceTime. Is he blind? Was I doing magic tricks and changing my face via the FaceTime app? Anyway, y'all, so I had to take a screenshot of that too, because I saw one of the things where we were, I was connecting to him on FaceTime. I had to scratch his name on. His big name was there on the screen, and his face was there in the corner. I had to scratch his face out. I was on FaceTime with this man on multiple occasions back then. That's why he was saying the drug thing, because when I finally did move home, I was drinking heavily, because at the time I was also in person dealing with my ex, the one that took my virginity. I was still dealing with him. He was leading me on, and so I had started drinking. And I started to lose weight. I lost a lot of weight and I had these dark circles under my eyes. So when I met him, that's what was going on. And that's why in 2015, he sent me this. When we met in person, he was the one that came for me first. And then that's when I said mean things back to him. I didn't just off-rip attack the man. He said mean subliminal stuff first. And then that's when I went in on him. And then I was like, okay, it's done. I'm thinking the thing is, oh my God, no. He then befriended my brother-in-law and took him to Sharky's, the local bar down here. And then it was years of crazy, of men trying to set me up, etc. Anyway, so this is what he sent to me first. He said, unbelievable but true. This is the result of heavy drugs and what it does to people. Gary Durden, then and now. Drugs were the reason why he had to leave the series CSI Las Vegas. Very sad. I'm against drugs. Are you? So he sends me this screenshot, right? And then he sends me this message. Research him. Stay away from drugs. You're still young. Because remember, he was 8 years or 9 years older than me. So he's like, you're still young. Influence will come, kiddo. He used to call me kiddo because of the age gap between us. So I said, LMAO, you're the most random person I know. I've never done drugs in my life. Only alcohol. But it was all subliminal. And these are the type of things he was sending to me after we met in person. So that's when I went ham, like, about his legs. And because when I met him, I took my sisters with me. I took my younger sister and my older sister in the car to the house right there in the neighborhood where we used to live. He was living in that house with his father. We pulled up to see him. He came out with, like some short pants on and a t-shirt on. And when we left, my sisters thought he looked odd. Like, his face is not bad looking, but he has, like, they keep talking about my body and trying to, like, do the psychological warfare thing. When just last year I was getting a lot of attention because of my body. But anyway, nonetheless, he truly has some odd dimensions. I'm not trying to come for the man, but I'm just saying the things I was saying in reaction to what he said to me. He has, like, this buff upper body. And then it's like he's the classic poster child for skipping leg day. You know, like those dudes that they say don't be this guy, and they say don't skip leg day, and they'll put a picture up of like the guy with the big super buff upper body, and then the legs are like super skinny. I think I saw a meme like that going around and all. Let me not pull it up. I don't want these people to say I'm being a bully or antagonizing. Anyway, nonetheless, that's how he is though. His legs are like really skinny, and then his upper body's buff, and then they call me long arms. He has some really long arms. So I remember my sisters kind of saying they thought he looked kind of strange, like his body and stuff. So I piggybacked off of that. I was going ham on how to, like, I went in on him because he was subliminally coming for me. And I was already in a low state too. I had already just dealt with whatever my ex did. I was dealing with alcoholism. That's true. I'm not a liar. That's true. That was the height of it. And so I was in a dark space. I came back at him and I just bit back. That's it. I thought it was done. I said, okay, we both dissed each other. That's it. That was not it. It was years and years of a grudge and of craziness after that. Like they wanted to tear me to bits and pieces after that. So anyway, so after that happened, right? Now this is a year later. This is in 2016. He wrote me, "Hope all is well." I said, "Yeah, everything is cool. How are you, stranger?" He said, "I'm okay. Are you still on Syncroy?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Okay." He said, "I just left the chiropractor and she said she don't think I'm 5'9" from looking at my x-rays. You will laugh at what she said. It was my first reading from x-rays and I had my first therapy session today. I said, "Lol, okay, who did you go to?" I didn't even, you could see like I was writing these very like short-winded because at this point the thing had started. This was a year after and the activity had already started. Certain activity on my Facebook. So anyway, he said, Dr. Bobbitt, she wants me to start chiropractor school. She say I have that chiropractor vibes, and the other doctor was like, I thought the same thing, lol. And at this time, he had already become a nurse. Because when him and I met in person was around the time when he was studying to take the NCLEX or whatever nursing test they take. So at this point now, he was already a nurse. So then I said, well, I guess it's good you're seeing a chiropractor now. You're going to start feeling really good after a few sessions. He said, "You sure?" Question mark with the flat face. Then he said, "I hope so." So this was 6:49, right? I said that. At 7 p.m. he said, "You sure?" Question mark. Then he said, "I hope so." 7 o'clock. Then I said, "Yep." Smiley face. So then it got inappropriate. He said, "I heard it intensifies sex life since those nerves control sexual," whatever he said, right? Why are you telling me that? But you already said I look like a drug addict. And all this activity is going on where men are now at this point trying to set me up. This is a year after. It's just weird. So anyway, he said that. Hold on. This is not, I don't think this is the direct continuation of this thing. I heard it. I will show you the continuation of this conversation where he said, I heard it intensify sex life. Because you can see this is saying 6:32. This was you can look at the timestamp of when certain things were said. So this was at 7 p.m. when he said I intensify sex life thing. This next one, it's out of order for some reason here. This is from 6:32. So that was actually sent before I said, well, I guess it's good you're seeing a chiropractor. So I'm guessing that's the continuation after the Dr. Bobbitt thing, where he said, Dr. Bobbitt, she wants me to start chiropractor school. Because then it says 6:32 p.m. He said, she said my posture is bad. She showed me all my x-rays. She didn't even had to, I think he meant to say have to explain. She didn't even have to explain to me the issue areas, lol. I was telling her job by looking at the film because at this point he had just become a nurse. So he felt like he knew whatever, right? So he said, by looking at the film, L5 is jammed by the coccyx and L4 also the nerve is being compressed. So that's why I have pain. I used to tell you, you remember? Question mark. So then I said, dang, well, I'm glad. I didn't really answer the you remember thing. I just said, dang, well, I'm glad you're getting it straightened out. No pun intended. LOL. So I was being low-key passive aggressive because he's talking to me like we're cool. And at this point, it's a year later. You already said I would look like a drug addict a year prior. But then also there's weird activity happening on my Facebook at this point now. But you're writing me like we're cool. So that's why I was being passive aggressive here. And so I said, well, I'm glad you're getting it straightened out. No pun intended. And in other words, there was a pun intended. I'm trying to say he wasn't straight. I was coming for his sexuality. And really, it's because of what was going on. I thought it was weird that he's writing me like we're cool, like old times, when weird shit is happening on my Facebook. And you already told me a year ago I look like a drug addict. So anyway, hold on, y'all. I need to blow my nose. Let me just finish this. Anyway, so he said, what that? When I said, dang, well, I'm glad you're getting it straightened out. No pun intended, LOL. He said, what that? Then he said, no pun intended. Yes. She said, a lot of folks have issues. She said, yes, a lot of... Sorry, somebody's pulling up into the next door neighbor, y'all. Yeah, she said a lot of folks have issues in... And I don't know what else was said from there, y'all. I don't have the screenshots. I don't know what else was said, right? But this was at 6:40. And then this comment here where I said, no offense, Ro, but I'm not really trying to do the online back and forth convo. That's out of order too. Something else came first. First he said, hair. This was at 6:53 a.m. So he said, hey, you watch Captain America? ? And he put the flat face. And so I didn't answer him. And then he said, so you gonna act like you didn't read? LOL. So then I said, no offense, Ro, but I'm not really trying to do the online convo back and forth. I'm glad you're doing well, though. And then I said, he said, what are you talking about? You must be having a bad day. So then I said, a bad day? ? I said, not sure what you mean, but I'm saying I'm not trying to engage in online convo with you, which I think is pretty self-explanatory. Poor grammar. I shouldn't have said pretty. But anyway, which I think is self-explanatory. So I'm not too sure why you asked what I'm talking about. I'm glad you're doing well, and I appreciate you checking up on me, but I'm not interested in any further convo. I'm not in a bad mood at all, so I apologize if I came off like that. So then that's when he said, okay. And that's why they keep using the Captain America thing. But another thing he did right after he sent the sexual thing, right? This is a continuation of that string. Right here where he said, I heard it intensifies sex life, and you see the emoji for some reason didn't show in that picture. These are the emojis that he sent. And then he did this face. He was doing this face and he was doing stripping us with his eyes, right? He sent this picture. So I scratched out his face. I don't want you to see his whole face. And I also scratched out his name, but you can see the emojis he sent. So this was a year after we met in person and he was telling me I look like a drug addict. Right after that same summer, though, he picks up my brother-in-law and takes him to Sharky's. And then that whole year, there was weird activity on my Facebook. That's why I even started asking him, I remembered right after the incident, I was asking him if he knew my ex. I just saw those messages too. I didn't screenshot those. If he knew my ex, the one I was with, the first guy I was ever with in high school. Because even with him, I had a conversation with him and he was acting really weird and mean, and I could tell like he knew about this thing too. I was like, what did I say about him? Like I must have said something that I don't recall or told him something candidly. I don't know what it would be. I really don't know. But it's like something happened where he was just acting. He had like a nasty stink attitude with me. I was like, something was said from this dude. Like everything went awry after this dude. And any guy I had ever talked to before him somehow knew about it here on Island. There's even this dude that wrote me recently. I'm not going to say the dude's name. His name begins with an N. And I talked to him before this guy too. Right before this guy. I went on a couple dates with him. I even hiked right there to Tide Pool with him and some next guy that has a girlfriend down here. This guy is like really well known down here. I'm not going to say his full name, but his first name is Adam. He was there with his girlfriend. I went to hike to Tide Pools with the dude whose name begins with an N. And that guy and his girlfriend. They were cool. And then I even went to their house. This was way back in the day, y'all. This was eons ago. And hung out with the dude. But I just realized he was like, I'm not, no disrespect to him because he was a cool guy actually. That's why I hung out with him multiple times. I just felt like back then I was kind of like a prude and I was very like good girlish and I had only, been with one man sexually. And he was very like sexual to me. I just felt like he was like too much of a sexual like character from his nipples were pierced and he was just very sexual. And so that, didn't align with what I was looking for, at least at the time, right? So I didn't have any problems with him. He was a cool person. But that was before this dude. So that's how that ended. I kind of stopped talking to him because I realized that, we weren't matching in that way. The compatibility wasn't there. I just felt like he was too out the box for me. Back then, I was like a real good girl back then. So anyway, I meet this guy now. And whatever happens with him. And then I end up having a conversation with that dude. And I could tell he knew about the thing too. Like he was acting different too. And then just recently, I'm talking, this is a decade and change later, y'all. They're pulling people from over a decade ago out of the woodworks. I don't know if it was Gangstalking or if he just genuinely decided to write me. But I think they recruited the dude. They keep recruiting people, y'all, from my past. And I recall after talking to this dude that dude knew about this situation. There's even this big long message between him and I just was reading it earlier, from the string of emails that we had going back and forth with each other, where he's explaining to me how he knew the dude and he wasn't like that, and he didn't know him ahead of time, and how the dude, something with his ex-girlfriend, the dude talked to his ex-girlfriend or some weird shit. I don't even know, man. Anyway, so you have to understand, like, they're pulling people from the woodworks from back in the day out, trying to recruit them. That's first of all. But second of all, every dude that I talked to before him somehow knew about the situation and they were moving different with me. And then also just any new dude that I talked to here on Island. Like, majority of them were involved in the thing. It was just crazy. So anyway, so I just wanted to show that, y'all. And then I also wanted to show, I showed the FaceTime thing, right? Another thing I wanted to show is the name of, I'll do that after, the name of the son. But first I want to show something else. Right around 2018, y'all, now, so fast forward years later, this is like key evidence, y'all, to show you I wanted nothing to do with this man. This is the key evidence. Like, that's what I'm more so trying to show right now. In 2018, right? This was, at this point now, it was 8 years ago. But you have to understand, when I initially started talking about this man in videos, when I got back on Island from trying to relocate, when the targeting started getting kind of crazy here on Island, I didn't know I was a target at the time. I resigned from the 2 jobs I was working. I was doing security and I was teaching. It was summer of 2022, I tried to relocate. When I got back on Island at the end of 2022 is when I started talking about this man and, like, kind of lambasting what I had been through. Over a decade. For over a decade, I was dealing with the situation. And I was saying somehow it's tying into the targeting, because I'm living in this neighborhood with his family, and his family's getting involved in, because I learned I was a target at this point, y'all. When I got back on Island and I did research, that's why I made a video, and I started making videos telling my story, my life story, and what I had dealt with before being a target. So I said somehow this weird situation I had been dealing with for about 10 years with this dude is tying into this weird targeting thing that I can't get away from. And I said somehow his family now was involved in my targeting because we're living in the neighborhood with his family. And his family somehow linked up with my family. You know, there was even a night when they took the current. And I'm walking around. This is so humiliating. I'm on camera, naked, looking for water to bathe. And when I finally got the water, I had to go get drinking water and walk. This was like a habitual thing with them in the old neighborhood. They used to take the current all the time. It was like a major gangstalking tactic. They used to do it all the time in the old neighborhood. So anyway, I remember I finally came out, I found like drinking water to bathe and stuff. And I remember going to sit on the porch and I was just pissed. This was shortly before I tried to relocate off Island. I remember hearing like directed convo coming from downstairs. It was a 2-story house and we were on the top floor. I'm hearing directed convo coming from downstairs in the bush. And his dad, by the way, used to be grazing goats in the bush right downstairs from our house. So now I look over the balcony, I see my dad in the bush with his dad, doing directed convo, talking about they took the current. Wow, they took the current. I remember I was so livid when I saw that. I was so disrespectful. I was like, man, I can't stand this fucking place, or whatever disrespectful thing I said, because I couldn't believe, after the years of going through whatever it was I went through with him in that situation, that my dad is in the bush with his dad doing directed convo. And this humiliating thing is happening where I'm on camera, and, you know, it was just like, it irked me so bad. Yeah, hold on, let me blow my nose. I'm coming back. So anyways, y'all, so all of that is what led to me making the video when I got back on Island. It's the fact that his family was getting involved in the gangstalking. My dad was literally in a bush with his dad before I left home. And I'm just realizing that somehow that weird situation I had been dealing with for over a decade had somehow like tied into this new weird like life crisis that I was going through, where I was this thing called a target, and I couldn't even leave Island because the thing attached itself to me. And I was like, this is kind of resembling some of the things I dealt with before the targeting. And this man's family is getting involved in my targeting. So that's why I talked about it. They gaslit me for talking about it and made it seem like I was just like some crazy bitch that randomly years later just decided to sit up on a video at age 30, years after the thing occurred, right? Mind you, the thing had been going on. It had been ongoing for a decade. But at age 30, now that I'm a target, I decided to just randomly, and you're dealing with his family gangstalking me in the old neighborhood. Like, I just sat there randomly. That's not happening. Oh, his family's not gangstalking me. His dad's not in the bush with my dad laughing, and etc., etc. I'm just sitting up here randomly attacking him because I'm crazy. Like, this is how they were painting it. Like, I was trying to be a home wrecker and I just randomly decided to attack the man. You can see through these messages that I didn't want anything to do with that man. And they were literally actively torturing me. So anyway, y'all, this is key evidence right here. This is from 2018. This is 2 years before I became a target, because I became a target in 2020 when I moved back home. This was when I was still in Florida in school getting my bachelor's degree. Right before I moved home in 2020, sent the text message and then became a target. So this is 2 years before that happened, when I was still in Florida in school. So anyway, I had created a Quora account. I saw something called Quora and I decided to create it. As soon as I created it, do you know, I see that this guy, it says, you see the name there, right? I tried to scratch out his last name so his full name isn't here on the screen. This is his name on Facebook too, y'all. So you can see so-and-so followed you on Quora. You can see the date says March 23rd, 2018. What do you see right after? March 23rd, 2018, Quora support, account deletion confirmation. Excuse me. Right after he followed me on Quora, I deleted the account. And this is now 2 years after those messages you saw where I was telling him that I'm not interested in any conversation. Things happened in between there too. He even sent me a picture of his son when he had a son. Anyway, I'm going to talk about that in a second, right? So anyway, so this is 2018. You can see when he followed me on Quora, I deleted the account. Why do you think I would take such extreme measures? Because they were tormenting me. I thought the man was unhinged, because I'm like, you're doing what, you're following me or you're writing messages, whatever you're doing, and you know these things are happening. So anyways, y'all, so that was right there in 2018. And 2018, y'all, was the year when they were hacking my dating websites. And that's the year when the thing with Kadan happened. So understand, there was activity with him right there in 2018. Where I created the Quora and I saw the man followed me and I deleted the account immediately. This was March of 2018. The thing with Kadan, look at the date, happened August of 2018. So anyway, so 2018, I was dealing with the dating apps. I explained how this happened in the earlier clips. I'm not going to repeat myself. I already talked about it in the earlier clips. And when that weird thing with the Kadan dude happened, let me go to the picture. It was this picture, y'all. This picture is from a track meet when I was going to Tallahassee Community College, but my sister and I used to go to like these different events. And so we were going to an event, I think it was at FSU or one of these places, or FAMU. So I was into athletics back then, and this is how I was dressed. I took this picture, it was on my Instagram. This cyberstalking dude had this picture. Anyway, nonetheless, it was on my old Facebook, the Facebook that I deleted in 2018. And the reason I deleted it is because they were hacking dating websites. The guy followed me on Quora. The thing had followed me to Florida. So I deleted my Facebook, and that's the Facebook where this picture was. Anyway, it was an old picture on the account. And I screenshot the picture and I texted it to Kadan because he wanted to see other pictures other than what I had on the dating website. I only had a couple pictures on the dating website. So I sent him this picture. I sent him a picture. I think I was in a dress sitting next to my mom with a Snapchat filter on. And then I sent him a video from Snapchat. I went onto Facebook. I kid you not, right after I had texted the Kadan dude the pictures. And then him and I had this weird conversation where I was really hearing stuff aggressively in the background, like laughing or something. And then when I'm getting off the phone with him, I said, bye. And he said, not goodbye, but see you later. You know, which is something, I know this is weird, y'all, but this is something like an OCD I used to have with the dude back in the day, the cyber dude, where I said I don't like to say goodbye because it feels permanent. So I used to say, instead of saying goodbye, let's say see you later. So I thought that was odd. And then the next thing was, after I came off the phone with him, I went on the Facebook and I saw that the cyber dude had loved this picture and the picture with my mom with the Snapchat filter on. So immediately I sent it to my sisters and I was showing them and they're telling me it's an algorithm. They said, well, it's not that serious, Reefy. Maybe because you screenshot the picture, somehow it was floating in the newsfeed and he saw it. I'm like, that's not how Facebook works. If I saw the picture and after I screenshot it, I decided to answer a comment. Like, let's say I saw a comment that I never answered. And I said, oh shoot, look, a comment I never answered. And I decide to answer the comment. Or I see that the like is an uneven number because I have OCD like that, and I decide to like the picture. Then you can say algorithm. Then it will start floating in certain people's newsfeed. It'll start floating in the newsfeed again. It's not gonna float in the newsfeed because you took a screenshot. So anyway, I remember going on and seeing the dude had loved those pictures that I texted to Kadan, and I was like, what? And I felt like I was going crazy because I'm showing my sisters and it's like they were gaslighting the hell out of me. I'm like, wait a minute. So y'all aren't seeing that this is really fucking weird? I think they knew the whole time. I think they all knew the whole time. So anyways, y'all, so I already talked about what happened with the Kadan dude. I don't have to go into any more detail about it. But you can see immediately after that happened, I blocked his cell phone number, right? So he had my email from the dating website. And we had emailed a couple times too. Not much, a couple times we had emailed. You can see that he sent this message. He said, hey, don't know what happened the other day, but I don't care about that. I haven't heard from you and I'm worried. You okay? What's up? ? Look at my response. My response was LOL, all caps. Why would I answer him like that? Am I some crazy like psycho chick? Why would, because to somebody with a naked eye that doesn't know what's going on, it would look like this is just a genuine message and I'm just being like some psycho bitch that's just going LOL. Why would I respond like that? Because I knew he was disingenuous. After the dude went onto Facebook and liked the pictures I texted to him, I blocked him, his number. So then he sent this email and I sent back LOL, all caps, laugh out loud. This is 2018, y'all. The same year with this man, when I created the core and this man followed me. And I deleted the account immediately. The same day he followed me on core, I deleted it. There was even a time, I don't remember what year it was, I'm not gonna lie, like maybe 2017 or 16, one of these years in between 2018, one of them. He sent me a picture with his dad cutting a goat open and the guts are coming out the goat. And then it's like he had the camera like pointing at the bush. And he's having like this miscellaneous conversation with someone in the background. It was like a bizarre video. It's like, why is he sending me this? Like, I think they wanted my head on a spindle or something. Like, I think they wanted my head. Over what happened over a decade ago. So anyway, what else did I want to show? The thing with his son, man. Oh, wait, hold on. Yeah, let me show that next. So I'm so mad at myself for not doing this, but I thought I did. That's why back then I had to open my big mouth and I said, I have screenshots of him sending a picture of his son. And then when I look, I couldn't find it. But he even sent me a screenshot when he had his son. We were still friends on Facebook. He sent me a screenshot of the son. And he told me the son's name. And I think that was to antagonize me because I couldn't believe he named his son the nickname he knew my brother-in-law had that belonged to like my brother-in-law, the tribe from my brother-in-law. I was like, what? I thought the thing was so freaking bizarre. Like, that's another bizarre thing that happened. I was like, he's sending me the son and he's telling me that he named the son this? And it was the second time he sent the son too, and he was showing me that the son looked like some baby on Facebook. And he showed me that it was like trending. Like, there was this picture of his son and some next baby, I think a Spanish baby or something, that was looking like his baby. He was sending me that too. He's acting like we were exes that are cool now. And we're still like amicable and there's some sort of camaraderie ship there. And like I wasn't being actively set up and bullied on island. He knew. He was a part of it. So anyway, then he named his son that, and I was like, what? I remember contacting Makita immediately, my older sister. I'm not meaning to say her name. So y'all, I just wanted to show y'all the proof. And the only reason I ever talked about this man's son, y'all, is because what they did in the old neighborhood. Because I would have never brought the son up. They gaslit me about that too. They played me on the pool game when I was in the old neighborhood with the man's son's name. They played me on the pool game with the man's son's name. And that's when I was like, oh shit, that's another thing that happened that I forgot to talk about. So anyway, here's the proof, y'all. Right? So I just typed into the email search bar the name of the son, right? Immediately my brother-in-law's name pops up, right? But then you can see emails from him from 2014 popped up as well. Sorry, I'm hearing noise outside, y'all. So anyway, in the search bar for the email, I didn't type this man's name in. I typed in the name of his son. You can see my brother-in-law's name popped up, a thread with my brother-in-law's name, so you can see that's truly his name, one of his names, from the tribe that he supposedly belongs to. And then messages from this man from back in 2014 popped up. This was before he had his son. So that leads me to believe that somewhere in these threads, I'm just not finding it, there were messages about my brother-in-law in there. Because we were actively talking back then. And I was living with my brother-in-law and my sister. So there were times where I talk about my brother-in-law and my sister and different things that we were researching, etc. We used to talk about Bible verses, etc. Somehow when I typed in the son's name, I didn't type his name in. My brother-in-law's email popped up, of course. But the email thread from him and I from 2014, before he had his son, popped up. So anyways, another just example, you can see that that's my brother-in-law's name, right? You can see that's his email address. And then there are pictures from Facebook. My brother-in-law changed his name on Facebook now, but there are pictures from 2017, 2016 with the name. That's my brother-in-law, my sister, and their 2 daughters, right? This is before they had their 3 other children that they have now. They have 5 now. That's irrelevant, right? You can see the date is 2017. You can see my sister tagged him in the post. You can see Emmanuel Levi Yashrala. He was friends with the dude on Facebook back then before the dude had his son. He took my brother-in-law to Sharkies. They were friends on Facebook exchanging messages. His name was Emmanuel Levi Yashrala. Then, here's another picture from 2016, y'all, with my sister and my brother-in-law again, where she tagged him in the photo. Happy birthday, Emmanuel Levi Yashrala. So when he named the son that and sent me the picture of the son, I was like, this is bonkers. I said, he named his son? I just thought the thing was like so bizarre, and I wasn't going to talk about that part back then when I made the videos about him talking about what was going on. But they played me on they obviously didn't care. They played me on the pool game with the son's name. And so that's what unlocked the memory. I was like, oh shit, that happened too. I was like, oh God, I got to talk about that too. I was like, that was another bizarre thing that happened. It wasn't even to say he just named the son that and I see it on Facebook. He sent me a picture of the son when he had him. And then there was a next time he sent the son to where there was some baby apparently that looked like his baby on Facebook. Some Spanish looking baby that was trending, I guess, and he kept sending me a look. So like almost like you're talking to like an ex that's a friend or something that you have some sort of camaraderie ship with. And like I wasn't actively being bullied and set up on an island. I'm like, we're not cool like that anymore. For you to be sending me I just think he was just like, I don't know what was going on. I think that was all antagonization, to be honest. Like, they're still trying to do, like, what he did when he got with the girl. Where he added me, and then he put the picture where she lay on the bed with him, and her hair is, like, in that picture that I showed y'all. Emulating that picture he had of me from years ago. And her eyebrows up and his eyebrows up. Like, I think that was a play like that, honestly, with the son thing and naming the son what he named the son. I was like, come on, man. It couldn't be that serious. Like, this is now years later. Come on. This affected the way you named your child? Like, I just thought it was all madness. I'm sorry. Because you have to understand, for years I was being set up too. Like, it was really malicious. Like, dudes trying to have sex with me. And apparently they recently insinuated bets were going. So all of this is bizarre to me. That's why I go so ham about the thing with the man from the gym. I'm like, y'all are capping. It's not about white people and the things you're pretending it's about, because I've been dealing with this for years. Yes, of course, those people were offended. I shared offensive stuff during the duration of the targeting. My bad. That was a stupid move. So they're going to help you. But it's not about that. Come on, man. I've been dealing with this for years. You're capping. So anyways, what else did I need to show? I think that's it. The other thing is irrelevant. It was something about his haircut. Like, when I first met him, I don't care about that. That was something else that I thought was bizarre. Oh, no. That's what led to me doing the haircut thing, though. Was I was trying to show what happened the last time he contacted me, which was when I created my new Facebook account. So I deleted the Facebook account I had back in 2018, right? Due to what was happening with the dating websites around this time, 2018, with Kadan and those dating websites that they were hacking. And you can see in 2018, he had followed me on the core, and I immediately deleted the account. So I deleted my Facebook too back then. When I deleted the core, I deleted my Facebook also. After the dating app thing happened, I was tweaked out. I was freaked out. I did not come back on Facebook until April, y'all. April 2021. And at this point, I was a target now. This was a year after the targeting started. I came back on Facebook. I was teaching now, and even though the targeting was happening, I felt comfortable enough to create a Facebook again because I was a teacher. I wanted to put that on Facebook, and I wanted to take pictures, etc. So you can see 2021, right? It says join Facebook, April 2021. That was when I created my new Facebook account. That was right before I tried to relocate off island because the targeting started getting real gnarly down here. 3 months later, y'all, I kid you not, you can see it's in the message request. You can see it says block, delete, accept. You can see the date says July 11th, 2021. 3 months after I create the new Facebook, from deleting it years prior when they were doing whatever they were doing, he sends me a friend request. Oh shit, I didn't even scratch his name out. I just realized there's a part in here where I didn't scratch his name out. The email address there. Anyway, whatever, man. Everybody kind of knows who this dude is anyway. But, so you can see he texted me at 1:15 a.m. and it says Rifa, lol. I never answered him. It's sitting there in the message request box right now. And he also sent a friend request. I didn't add him. This was before I ever made a video about the man. Right before I tried to relocate off island, and it was 3 months after I created the new Facebook account. But they're making it like he's a saint and like I just randomly sat up and attacked him. And like I was the one doing stuff. It's just completely bonkers to me. And it actually reminds me of what they're doing with this man from the gym. It literally reminds me of what they're doing with this man from the gym. Except that situation's even worse. Because I hadn't done anything to that man. Nothing. I didn't even know him like that. Anyways, y'all, the haircut thing is irrelevant. I'm not going to really talk. I just thought that was kind of something else that was kind of creepy. Because in this picture, I noticed he had a green shirt on. He had the nerve to have a green shirt on. And he has a picture of, you know, kids in the picture, children, whatever. But yet I'm seeing the haircut that he got back when we were talking in the profile picture. So in my head, I was like, but that's crazy because when I first met him, his hair was like this. And it kind of looked like he was going bald in the front. So I told him, you know, no disrespect. I had told him back then, maybe you should try a high top. That would look good with your face. He grew his hair out and he did the high top. He started cutting his hair in the high top. There was even a conversation I had found where he was talking about he used to do his hair like that in high school. I had sent him the picture to do. I told him to do a high top like this, and I told him to grow it out like that, and fade it like this. He started to cut his hair like that. His hair was cut low like this when I met him. His hair is still like that now. I'm seeing the profile picture with the green shirt, with everything that they've done. I'm like, you're wearing the green shirt with everything that y'all have done to me? But yet I'm still seeing the haircut that I told him to do like over a decade ago. Anyway, in all fairness, he did have the haircut in high school. So maybe he just realized that it looks better with his head and he decided to keep doing it. But even that to me was kind of bizarre too. Anyways, y'all, alright, so I'm done. I've talked about this a million different times in a million different videos. And there's still subjective and bias out there and doing weird stuff. Because this morning, I wasn't saying anything about this man. I'm sitting there driving in my car. I'm just innocently watching the episode. And I'm noticing people in the background, I guess, that are associated with him or something. They're getting triggered when they're talking about the dude stalking the girl. I'm like, but I didn't say anything. It's not like I'm sitting here going, you know, or making noises or doing faces or something. I wasn't doing anything. And they're getting so triggered in the back and revving by super hard. I was like, okay, guilt. I was like, this is another one of these moments. Then I get home and they're sending subliminal stuff. I was like, screw this. I'm making another video. And I was already worked up from when they dropped his cousin in the store the other day. And I'm like, but there was no malicious intent there. The whole reason I did whatever I did, which was out of character for me, that's the only man they can find that I did that with, was because I knew he was cousins with the guy that I thought I was in love with in high school. Back then, I was in my early 20s. I was young back then, so I still had feelings for that guy. There's nothing there now. That guy actually wrote me like 2 years ago when he was acting normal back then. He wasn't doing the gangstalking stuff that I saw recently, like this year. And we had like a regular amicable conversation. And I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel the butterflies like what I used to feel. I just felt like a normal person, you know, from back in the day. So those feelings are null and void. But back then I still had those feelings. So that's why I did what I did with the cousin, because I knew he was cousins with that guy. You can see I wanted nothing to do with this guy after things started kicking off on Island. I had no idea that was his cousin. So they dropped him in the store the other day. When that thing happened over a decade ago, and it wasn't related or correlated with him, I did not know. There was no malicious intent. But y'all did all this stuff, setting up bets, etc., hacking dating websites right there in 2018. I'm like, really? So that happened, and then this morning happened, and that's what led to me making this video here. Anyway, y'all, okay, peace out. I'm done. Peace out.